Other proposals include a 3-year freeze on child benefits and cutting tax credits for families with incomes over £40,000 a year. Do you believe the cuts will have a detrimental impact on families? How would you respond to that, Ian? Do you think it will be favourable?
Well, I compliment George Osborne on his use of the word fairness in respect of those cuts. I think Winchester, there will be an awful lot of families who are hit by that removal of that benefit, who will have a different view of fairness. However, I think it probably needs to be accepted that across the country, £44,000 is still a significant level of income. So sadly it is necessary for those budgets to be balanced, but particularly in a city like Winchester with very high living costs, it's going to have real impact on many families.
And I think the loss of this universal and universally agreed, all parties have always agreed that it should be a universal benefit, is a terribly regressive step. And it means that, you know, we're not all in this together, which is what the great attraction of that universal benefit.
The particular vicious aspect of this, of course, is the arbitrary nature of a couple where one works and one doesn't for a while, that it's completely arbitrary, the impact, and grossly unfair.
Osborne has promised that the books will be balanced within 5 years. When you consider the fallout to the budget cuts, do you believe this is sustainable? Do you believe in 5 years we will be able to overturn the national deficit?
Well, I think I would concede to George Osborne and the Treasury mandarins. It clearly is an achievable objective. There will be, it's a challenge, and I think that we are going to experience in this country something that we've not experienced for 20 or 30 years, some real pain in delivering that objective. So yes, I believe it can be achieved, but there's no denying that it is going to have real impact on the standard of living in this country. But I think we must remember that the United Kingdom is, I think we don't recognise what an important, powerful industrial nation that we are. We're a very rich country, and we have the capacity to work our way through this. If you only look at the Nobel Prizes that were awarded to people based in this country, I think it just shows what an incredibly important and innovative country that we are. So it's a challenge that we can embrace.
But it was one of those Nobel Prize winners the other day who condemned the government for this policy. He's a prize-winning Nobel economist from the LSE, and he was scathing in his attack on Osborne.
Lastly, I'd just like each of you to summarise your stance on the budget cuts and just each give a summary of how you felt towards them. Just starting with you, Ian.
I think it's absolutely essential that we deal with the budget deficit, and I think the approach that David Cameron and George Osborne are taking, though challenging and will impact on the standard of living that we have at the moment, I think that is realistically the only choice that we have.
It took a long time to recover from Thatcherism. It'll take a long time to recover from what the coalition are doing this time round.
I do feel I have to interject there. George Osborne in Parliament I know very well. Steve Bryan I know very well. Caroline Dinenage was a fellow councillor in Winchester. I think that the euphoria, if that's the appropriate term, was not at cuts in because of some political philosophy there. It's the fact that we've got to take on this challenge. So I wouldn't want to get into an argument here, but I think the Labour Party have been very quick to try and typify the Conservatives in that fashion.
The problem is that the people who are going to suffer most are those in greatest need. Just one example on housing, which has always been a key interest of mine. The government has decided to slash in half the amount of money spent on social housing in the next few years. That will be disastrous for the whole country, but particularly in a place like Winchester, where house prices are so high.
I've been talking to housing officers asking that very question, and to say how will it impact in Winchester, and the officers are non-political. It's a Liberal Democrat administration in Winchester, and they're saying that the funds are still available to deliver affordable housing, and that's an absolute passion of mine for this district. So I don't think there are other issues why we may not be delivering affordable housing, but my understanding is those funds will be protected.
Okay.
And I share Patrick's concern, but I believe that we are still in a position to fund affordable housing.
Okay, Sally, thank you very much for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Sally, that's all we've got time for in this week's Winnall's Hot Topic debate. But stay tuned to winnall.co.uk for the best student journalism coverage around, and for next week's Hot Topics debate. Thank you very much.